Hello and welcome to Croppie Coffee, where we explore the unexplained and uncover the truth behind some of the world's most mysterious phenomena, crop circles. I'm your co-host Connor, and I've been dragged here against my will to explore the mysterious world of crop circles. Today, and as always, we're joined by my co-host Simon, and we have Rick, who will be helping us with keeping our coffee hot and our energy high throughout the discussion. Together, we'll be discussing our thoughts with a new guest each week, sharing our insights and theories. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, get ready to have your mind expanded as we delve into the mysterious world of crop circles. Let's get started. Our special guest with us today, full-time healer, shaman, medium and quantum healer, Kathy Mingo. And she's here with us today to share her insights and theories about these mysterious phenomena.
Yes, brilliant. We'll be diving into the history, evidence and theories behind the crop circles and discussing what it all means. So sit back, relax and get ready to have your minds blown. It's going to be a fascinating conversation and we are honoured to have
Kathy here with us today. So let's kick it off, Kathy. I'm going to ask the first question straight away, just so our listeners can sort of get to know you straight away. Can you tell us about your background and how you became interested in crop circles, please?
Okay, so I'm a bit of a veteran, so this will be my 23rd year. Sad sack that I am. So I lived in the States up until 1999. So I heard about the crop circles weirdly in America. So when I came home, the minute I got back to England, I thought I've got to go and check this out. I can tell you distinctly, my first crop circle was at West Overton.
Okay, yeah. And
I could see it from the road, and I remember pulling in, and there was a kind of draw, and I literally remember running, thinking this is just. I had two friends with me that thought I was insane, and didn't bother to come with me. I was met by the farmer with a shotgun.
Oh, nice.
So it was like, oh, okay. But the minute I went into that crop circle, I want to use the word hooked.
Yeah, good word. Yeah. I think that's a lot of the people that we speak to. They are obviously, it's a way of life for a lot of people. I think crop circles, because like as much as you can say, oh, it's just a hobby of mine, I go during the season and whatnot. I don't think it stops there for a lot of people. I think even out of season, obviously, there's still a lot of passion put into it. So
it comes with obsession in many cases.
I think people are, like Kathy says, drawn to it.
Absolutely.
Because obviously, looking at your sort of little bio here about being a healer and a shaman and everything.
Yeah.
I can imagine from what other people have told us, that these are quite a spiritual thing, crop circles.
Yes.
So
what I do actually weirdly directly relates to a crop circle.
What do you mean?
So I was a nanny. So I've got a bit of a long history, but I'll try and get it concisely. So when I got back, I was a nanny in America.
Okay.
And I ended up working for Lynn McTaggart.
Yeah.
Wrote The Field, and she does The Power of Eight. So she was a journalist, but is a lot in the spiritual field. And she run courses with like Eckhart Tolle. So I was immersed in that from a more of a practical side. So I went and I would do crop circles every July. I still do it now, 23 years later. And I remember standing on Golden Ball Hill, overlooking Eastfield, waiting for something to happen. And I was kind of in a sort of dilemma in my life. And I kind of just said, look, just show me something. Didn't think anything of it. Went home, and then there was a leaflet on my mat about past life regression. I thought, well, I've never signed up for that. So I called the woman and I said, how did you get my details? And she went, you're not on our database. So I signed up for that there and then, and that's the rest is history. So there was a lot of synchronicity that was involved, and crop circles for me are about synchronicity, universal synchronicity.
I'm gonna divert straight away. What's past life regression? What's that? I don't know.
It's so I do a form of hypnosis.
Yeah.
Where you take that person back through hypnotic induction to what they were in the past.
Oh, okay, so it's all to do with like sort of reincarnation-ish, to find out about your past life. Okay, so that's what that is. Fair enough. My next question, just to find out a bit more about yourself, what do you believe is the main sort of cause of crop circles? Because you have people say, I think, there's the orbs, or I think they're man-made, or people think there's a mixture of both. But personally, what's your theory on the crop circles and how they're made?
I'm on the mixture. I know majority are man-made.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. That's quite a grounded answer. Yeah,
and I know it's not a popular one. And when you go on certain sites about crop circles and you dare to mention man-made, there can be a lot of resistance to that. But I know.
Exactly. How do you distinguish between man-made ones and higher force made ones?
God, it's really hard. I think over my years, I've kind of it stopped being about who makes them. Really has for me. It's more about the consciousness of it. For me, I think it's irrelevant. I would probably say, and this is just my personal opinion, I would say probably 90% are man-made.
And can you just look at one? I mean, you've done a lot of photography around this as well. Can you just look at one and go, actually, that one draws me towards it, as others don't?
Yeah, I think there was one that last year. So the Masonic sign. I forgot where, Etchelhampton. Walked into that one, didn't like it at all. The energy of it was just slightly off, and I don't know if it was just about the symbology of it, but it doesn't matter. But I think it's really hard to tell on the ground. I know people talk about bent nodes and blown nodes, and you put your hand down on the speckledy of your skin.
I like that, because that's something that Simon goes on about, because obviously my dad sort of is what got us both into this, I reckon.
Absolutely,
and he took Simon to a crop circle, I don't know when it was, a few years back now, and that's the one thing that, because obviously I'll let Simon explain a bit more, but you come from a medical background, and that's something you was interested in, is the lying the hand down on the ground.
Absolutely, and that's right, Connor. We went into this crop circle, Kathy, and I touched on it on one of our first podcasts that we did, and we went into this field, and Richard put his hand down, and he said he felt some energy here. I didn't feel anything. I mean, I just thought this was just amazing, this shape. I didn't really know what it meant. Richard went in and he put his hand on the floor. He explained about the burst nodes, which again I was none the wiser of. Put his hand on the ground, and and over a minute or two, he felt a change in his skin, and admittedly it was, but me being from a medical background kind of went, well, actually I don't think that's the forces, Richard. I think that's probably the fact that you've put your hand in that position, and this is minimal blood flow. So that was kind of my sort of thought process behind that. But actually we've been to other places, or Richard's been to other places, and that hasn't happened. So it's interesting stuff, isn't it?
And I think it brings back to the thought process of the crop circles, and this is something that pops up quite a bit, is that crop circles are very much a personal experience. Like Kathy was just saying, she went to one, how she got sort of a bad vibe from it all. But you could take someone else, put them in there, and they might be feeling a good experience from it. So it does change. Not only does it change from crop circle to crop circle, but it changes from person to person as well.
I think Lucy touched on that. Lucy Pringle touched on that. And
she did a lot of the healing research, didn't she?
Really interesting, stories and what she was saying with her friend that had, arthritis, I think rheumatoid arthritis actually, and she was in extreme pain, but actually Lucy took her into this crop circle, and actually the pain subsided while she was in there, and that's pretty remarkable, isn't it?
For sure. I think that's to hear about it was pretty remarkable. I can only imagine what it's been like to see it, and this, like, it makes me wonder, about the power of crop circles. Do Do they have power? Don't they? I mean, this is I don't want to sound pedantic, but this is the kind of thing that this is podcast about. Is me and Simon have really, like, although I went to a crop circle with my dad a couple of years ago, it's only been since the beginning of this year that we've started this podcast and really spoken to people. So I think as of now, my mind isn't like made up completely.
No,
which is why I'm on the fence of asking these sort of things.
But it has changed over the 2 decades that I've been involved in it.
Yeah.
You know, in 2000, 1990 and 2000, there were crop circles everywhere. You were just absolutely sport for choice. And now, obviously, it's trickling down to it's a lot less.
Yeah. So, in those 20 years, what's been sort of the most I don't know if that's the right word, the most convincing crop circle you've been to, one that you've sort of felt like sort of maybe, if there is one, that you felt overwhelmed by the sort of the feelings that you had when you went into there? Is there anything you can recall of that?
Yeah, so 4 of us did a meditation at Etchelhampton, and we asked for a very specific symbol. So it was 2 kind of chevrons, and a cross and 4 crosses. And we kind of put it out there, and we did it in joy. We did a bit of drumming, and we said we wanted it at Etchelhampton. So the next morning we turned up, nothing there. I thought, okay, you know, not surprising. However, at Milk Hill, we got the exact thing that we asked for, just in a different location. I mean, it was spookily accurate.
Yeah.
And for me, I thought, if we're communicating with a higher consciousness, which I do believe that to be, that's amazing. However, if that's man-made, we are actually connecting to human consciousness, which I think might be even more profound. However you want to look at this, whether I'm connecting higher up or I'm connecting to a circle maker on that same day, or me linking into a design that they've drawn, it's mind-blowing. So that for me was, I've had a lot of UFO experience there as well.
When you say where, what do you mean when you say?
In Wiltshire. So
Okay,
that's where I spend most of my crop circling time, around Wiltshire. But that's where we asked for this. So I was blown by the fact that it's higher consciousness.
Yeah.
Or it's telepathic human consciousness, which I think is a deeper question that isn't asked in the community, because we're too busy fighting about, is it man-made or is it not?
So are we saying it's sort of like, you know, humans are not, I don't think possessed is the way, but humans are kind of communicating with a higher force to make them create these works of art? Is that is that kind of what we're saying?
Yeah. And I think, you know, we had very, very specific symbols that we were using. So had a circle maker picked up on that, a human one, and put that in the field the very next day? Or was that, I do think it was probably a higher communication, because I do think often the ones that are cut out immediately are the ones that might have a bit more of an impact, and that was gone. There was only 1 photograph that was taken of it, just as the combine was going in.
And this is interesting. This is I'm willing to believe in that, like, because when you say a higher consciousness, my mind does go to aliens. Like I'm fully willing to believe that aliens exist in an ever expanding universe that has no end.
Yeah.
I think it's quite narrow-minded to think there is no such thing as aliens. To think that we are the only sort of intelligent life out there. Personally, I think that's silly to think that.
Yeah.
I think it's worrying if that is the most intelligent there is.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is worrying that humans are the most intelligent,
especially in the world today, and what us humans are doing to each other. I totally agree with you. There's probably other life form looking down at us in the world, going, look at what these silly humans are doing now. Look, they're going to war with each other. You know, it's hideous, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, and this brings me on to something else that's been brought up before, in that perhaps crop circles might be messages from these higher beings wanting to communicate with us. Because you look at crop circles, and obviously crop is essential to life. You know, you look at anything from food, drink, it all narrows down to, you know, the majority of it, you're going to need crop to make it. So, you know, these higher beings are putting the messages in the thing that is essential to human life. That is something that I am 100% sort of willing to believe,
rather than just put up in a mountain. This is probably right. That's one of the answers that the questions we answered. You know, we asked is that why haven't any of these types of you know, patterns, these amazing works of art, been embedded into stone high up on a mountain where kind of no one can see it, only planes and, you know, aircraft go past. So that might explain it, that they put it into the heart of it where we can't fail not to see it. I don't know, maybe that's it. I don't know.
And it's such a transitory thing. So it's, you know, these divine, I mean, I'm big into sacred geometry, and the sacred geometry really just does hunker down everything that the universe is. You can't have universal light without geometry. So are they giving us a kind of in your face, direct, this is what this is? You know, it doesn't matter if it's man-made or not, it's coming from somewhere else.
Yeah, someone's making, you know, something's making someone create such an art form. Because, you know, as it started in, what was it, 815 AD, was it, or something like that?
A long time,
What possessed them to do the devil circles back then to now? And yes, they have become more complex, as we've spoke to Peter about, didn't we?
Yes,
and it has come more complex. And it was quite an interesting podcast that we had with him, wasn't it? A guy that's you know, very talented, makes these. And he explained how he made these without going too much into it and spoiling the podcast. And actually, it made sense. But you know, the designs were only unique to him, and it's the same as it is with others. But it's what possesses people to do that. What makes people to do it.
How deep does it go? Like, yes, you've had the thought to make that circle, but was that idea planted in your head? Like, are you just an instrument of the higher beings to put that message there?
I don't know. It's these
Exactly.
answers that I don't know. You know. Definitely.
I mean, we've been arguing about this for decades, haven't we? So
yes, it's certainly.
I mean, I've been in a crop circle where there was a fist fight. It was just absolutely ridiculous. Someone was saying it was man-made. Someone said it's no possible. They started fighting. I've also been in the crop circle where someone said that they called it angel hair, so alien hair, existed in the centre of the circle. It was where West Kennet Longborough was, and people were eating this angel hair. And I was sitting there, and it was covered in spiders, and it was spider web. But people had been told. I mean, it was random. There's a point I like to be a little bit more bipartisan about that, because, you know, I'm not so open-minded that my brains are falling out either. And we have to look at the fact that there's spiders and there's spider web, and quite possibly it's spider web rather than some sort of alien hair.
Yeah.
You know, no, it doesn't matter what people believe, but there's I think everyone should be entitled to say some of these are man-made. I mean, I took a drone picture last year from Barbary Castle. So I was driving down. We saw me and my partner saw this kind of delineation in the wheat, and I went, that's got to be a crop circle. Got the drone up, and it was. And I've never actually found one on before anyone else. And I was like, no, it's got to be. So we searched for it. No, it wasn't. So I got it on the internet. Another drone person texted me on my Facebook and went, would you mind removing that image from the internet? And I was like, why? Oh, I can't tell. It's all big and mysterious. Because they hadn't finished it, basically. So I got the unfinished.
Right.
So, you know, so we've got the before and after. So I got the before shot, and I was told to take it down, which I refused.
But yeah, I mean, fair enough. Like, why would you ask someone to take it down? You've been caught, like, making a crop circle. It's just part of the process, isn't it? Like, I can understand their frustration, but you know, you just got to accept that what you're doing has been caught, and just get on with it. I don't know.
I know, that's the thing.
You know, and it's a public space. You can't.
Yeah.
And I actually preferred the one that wasn't altered.
There's the real kicker.
Yeah. That's the real joker, isn't it? You know, well, actually, now you've finished it. Actually, you could just, you know.
Could have left it.
Sure, you want me to take the original down? Are you sure?
Would you want to add something to it? Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? It's funny.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, we asked that question. I asked that question to Peter, who's a crop circle maker, and I said, like, have you ever been disturbed for doing them? You know, for these a magnificent piece of work of art, you know, in the middle of a field at night, people using lasers and head torches. How can you not be spotted? You know, okay, in remote places, but you know, and he said, no, I haven't actually been, you know, interrupted. But and that was part of, certainly from my point of view, is you know, how people have never been caught making these crop circles,
or confess to doing it.
Oh, they confess.
Human ego, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. But no one's actually
killed
someone and gone, look at these guys at night making this crop circle, you know. No one's ever been caught for it, you know. So that was quite hard for me to really get my head around. However, having done that podcast with Peter, it's now a bit more clearer to me.
Yeah.
But either way, it's an amazing thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think Dean Hine, crop circle maker, he videoed the crop circle at Anstey.
Okay, we did try to get Dean on, but I don't think he was too up for it. Hopefully that change. Might do season 2 and get Dean on, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know him personally. I just know.
I've known from the Facebook groups and everything. Well, I don't know him. I don't know him, but obviously
know of him. Yeah.
So Kathy, let's do some drone talk. I'm interested in drones because I know a little bit about drones. How do you think technology such as drones will affect crop circle research in the future? Because there's new legislation coming out, isn't there, about how drones, legacy drones, are basically being made, drones made before 2023 are basically being made into use them in your own home, can't really use them outside as much. So how do you think drones are going to sort of affect crop circles in the future, or do you think they won't affect it at all? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, in the early days of me, people were up on ladders using very basic cameras, and it was organic, and it was, the community was a bit more pure back then.
Yeah.
What I find, you know, and I don't do droning, I do it for my own personal use. You know, I'm not one of those drone people that somehow get to know the crop circles before anyone else and get their stuff, which, you know, that begs another question, doesn't it? But I think I didn't know that about legislation, so I'm stuffed then.
Well, yeah, you might just have to be a bit sneaky about it. But yeah, there's this is going off topic. Yeah, legislation, basically the older drones are being said that you can't use those anymore. But I'm not sure if that's affecting the smaller size ones. It all depends on what you've got. You'll have to look into it. So
well, I think it's probably better, because we used to just have the helicopters. And when you're in a crop circle trying to meditate and you've got a bloody helicopter going around, it was actually a bit annoying.
Kathy, I can't fly helicopters, mind you. I've just got a drone and I'm not very good at flying that.
No, I'm not either.
But drones make it much more accessible, like we were saying before.
Yes.
Helicopter. You know, who can actually afford to rent a helicopter and go view crop circles? Not that many, but there were some that could. Now with drones, they are becoming smaller, less expensive, more accessible.
Yeah.
So I think that is a way that crop circles will change, is that more people will use drones to sort of view these from a different perspective. Because of course, before you were viewing them at eye level, you know, you were relying on other people to take the photos of the bird's eye view. Whereas now it's a case of you can do it yourself and hopefully maybe open up a new perspective of the crop circle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it won't. I don't think it will probably alter it that much.
No,
I've just seen so Ancient Aliens bought 10 of my drone pictures as a kind of novice and a hobbyist. So I was right chuffed with that.
Yeah,
and I've just seen it come out, and I'm looking at the prelude to the new Ancient Aliens, and I can see my drone pictures there with us in it, which is hilarious.
Well, I can imagine that must be quite a surreal feeling to, like you say, you're not a massive drone photographer, but to have someone like that, because is it the Discovery Channel, History Channel?
History Channel, yeah.
History Channel, to come and approach you and ask to use your photographs. Well, it must just be sort of quite like a buzz, I can imagine.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and because I'm not one of the drone people that get to them first, and it was a bit of a kind of they were a bit peed off with me because obviously I put this picture out, but I think it's for everyone, and it's very crop circle photography, droning. It's really elitist, so you get a small amount of people that are obviously given information that someone's found someone or a crop circle early, or the makers have told them, whatever, and it becomes they hold on to those pictures then until the evening, and because they want pristine pictures with no one in them. So I'm just hoping that it becomes a bit more organic again, like it used to be.
Yeah, no, that's understandable for sure. So let's move on to the history of crop circles. Kathy, you say you've been in the game, so to speak, out in the field for 20 years. How can you could you explain to us how the changes you've noticed from obviously back in the 90s, like the crop circles and whatnot, early 2000s, the designs I can imagine have evolved over time. What's your experience with that?
I think the whole thing's evolved, and I think it's evolved really in a twofold way, because it's also become, it used to be a lot more fun, got to be honest. There used to be a bit more community. You would have people from Holland and all over the place. I mean, in the early days, we used to just follow someone that had a Dutch number plate because they would be going to a crop circle, and we would always find one, and we used to just follow the Dutch. But obviously, COVID, whatever, and all of that is really, it's kind of taken out that kind of connection a bit. And it was really quiet last year, and I take groups down there because I run groups, but it's not a charging thing for me. I'm not interested in making money out of this, but it was so quiet, and there used to be a real kind of, crop circle cafe. Used to be, they would do talks. I know we've got the crop circle museum with Monique, but really it's got very quiet. It's almost like it's been forgotten again.
Sad, isn't it?
Now we hope that there's a resurgence, but I do feel the energy of it's changed, and the energy of the world has changed. So I just wonder if there's a bit more of apathy and oppression globally with all of us at the moment. Is that transcending to them as well?
Yeah, I think that sort of rings true for everything, more than just crop circles. Like when the I'm trying to think of the word for it. I don't know if this is the right word. Then when the community factor of something is lost, then a big part of something is gone, because like I can imagine it was a very social thing. We touched on COVID just a minute ago there, but throughout the pandemic, social learning and social development was lost, and that's such a thing. I don't think many people will realize how important the social learning side of things is. So to lose the community, the community side of it, you're not just losing the fun, but you're also losing quite a shared learning experience as well.
Yeah, and connection. I mean, everything's coming this year is community, so we're just hoping that the communities will start. I mean, I went crop circling during the lockdowns because I did.
Fair enough.
It was quite it was quiet, and for me, Wiltshire's become and it's not just the crop circles for me. It's the ley lines, it's the energy centres, it's the stone circles. They also hold a magnetic resonance that the crop circles for me are those still really exciting. It's the area now that I find more exciting.
Absolutely. It's a phenomenal thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So to touch on the Dutch, how because obviously Wiltshire is quite a hot spot for crop circles. It's world renowned that England is the place for crop circles.
Do you know, you might not know, just putting it out there, how crop circles differ in places such as Holland and everything like that? Like around the world, how do crop circles change? Because, you know, we touched in the beginning, 90% man-made. Sure, I'm more than happy to believe that.
I'm hoping I'm being very conservative. I'm hoping it's not, because in my heart I really want it to all be, but
yeah, but
I know.
To have a grounded view. All right, let's take it down. Let's say half of them, whatever it is, whatever the man-made ones are, they are going to differ dependent on who makes them, from culture to culture. Because you're not the only person that's mentioned crop circles around the world. And I was just wondering, long and short of it is, do you have any experience with crop circles in other countries?
I have never been to one in another country, sorry.
No, fair enough.
Fair enough. That's it. I shot that question right down, didn't it? That was it. Bang. Love it. Never in America. Obviously.
No, they're really rare there, aren't they?
Yeah. Lucy, again, going back to Lucy Pringle, very, very, very interesting person. We were reading her book, and she had some stats, I think, up to 2018, I think it was, wasn't it? And there'd been one cited in, Afghanistan, for instance, and places that I wouldn't have really, associated crop circles to be. I think one in Canada, wasn't there? And there was a handful in Ireland and places like that, and amazing to see. And I just wondered if you'd seen them anywhere else, but
America, given that it's got the biggest wheat yield, and a lack of crop circles there, I find that interesting.
Why?
I find it interesting as well, because obviously I think most people know crop circles from the media, like in movies, like all the aliens saucer landed and it's left a crop circle.
That's it.
All set in America, but yet for them to have a rarity to actually be in America.
That's a good point. That is a good point.
Because it does, hasn't it? It's got the biggest. I won't go into Bill Gates, but he owns most of the crop yields there. But is it because there could be a lack of aquifer? So chalk water and electromagnetic energy, I think, is what someone mapped it out, didn't they? Through all of the aquifers through Wiltshire.
Yeah.
Something like 90% of the crop circles were right dotted around there.
I wonder, playing devil's advocate, I wonder whether, if a crop circle was to turn up over in America and it went massively viral, across the media, I wonder whether that would kick some stuff off,
because obviously social media's had a huge impact with things like TikTok now, where you're literally getting a new video it used to be like every 30 seconds. It's evolved to long videos now. Anyway, off topic. The social media has changed it so much that if a powerhouse like America was to get a crop circle, it would literally take one video on TikTok and the algorithm to hit it right, and it would blow up.
Absolutely.
And then you'd have sort of a renaissance period of crop circles. Because who are we talking to? Someone said, I know Kathy touched on it as well, but crop circles are declining. The amount of crop circles, there was a speaker we had on there saying, was it Peter Vanderberg? I think it might have been Peter.
I think it was Peter.
Apologies if it isn't, but I think it was Peter that was saying about how, over time it's been graphically plotted that the crop circles are becoming less and less.
Yes,
more complex, but less and less. Wasn't it? That was interesting.
But it would be amazing to have a renaissance period of crop circles, massive bloom of suddenly it's all coming back. But I don't want to call it a dying art, but it's what statistics are.
Well, there is evidence that it's getting smaller. So I mean, last year was pretty good. I think there was one year, I can't remember what year it was, and it was like we were there for 2 weeks, and normally we would have 7 or 8, and it was literally 1. But that got us involved more in like the beautiful landscape, and also sort of giving money to Wiltshire and keeping their tourism alive, because Wiltshire would have been flooded with croppies in the early years, and then all of that tourism's kind of dried up a bit as well. So
it's an interesting point. I think that's something no one's actually brought up yet, is the economical side of it, of how these crop circles do bring people into the local area. Because although these crop circles are in remote sort of farmers' fields,
Yeah.
you're going to drive through small villages and
You're still going to be in that area, right?
Yeah.
And obviously,
Absolutely.
you know, little things like, oh, just going to stop here and grab a bottle of water, or stop at this restaurant and have some lunch. Like, yeah, so I don't know. I think, not to blow too much smoke, but I think that's actually an amazing point to bring up, is the economical side of crop circles.
Yeah, and it's amazing how they kind of turn up anywhere, don't they? I mean, predominantly we know Wiltshire, but what's the do you know what? My mind's gone. What is? We were talking about it earlier, weren't we? What's his name on the Top Gear presenter, Jeremy Clarkson.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be weird if there was a crop circle to turn up in Jeremy Clarkson's field? Could you imagine?
Oh, let's get that happening, get that going.
Oh, I'm not suggesting it for a minute, but what I am saying, and I want to be clear on this, that wouldn't it be, you know, phenomenal?
Well, yeah, again, it brings back this whole renaissance of if a figure as big as Clarkson, who has his show about a farm on Amazon Prime, a massive streaming service.
Absolutely.
Just one episode, all of a sudden, the crop circles turned up. You think how many people are going to watch that and then have this new interest into crop circles?
I mean, you only have to see that shop on there, and then that's run there. You know, it's got
that's
loads.
Incredible.
That's overrun, and there's people parking on the side of the village, and there's villagers moaning, etc. But imagine a crop circle on top of that. Oh my word! I think we should skip topic quickly.
I mean, it's interesting as well that if you can see, like, if there's a crop circle on Eastfield, say, I mean, I know they don't happen on Eastfield now because Tim Carson doesn't particularly like it. So that's another interesting point, that, you know, if a farmer doesn't like it, he'll cut them out immediately.
Okay.
So the farmers are kind of a bit in cahoots. Some farmers are okay, but now I think they're like, the minute it happens, don't trespass, and we're going to cut it out.
And I suppose that's understandable.
I understand that. I get that. Yeah.
You know, people, you know, hundreds and hundreds of people, say, for instance, coming into the field, and maybe not all of them, you know, are quite experienced with attending crop circles and not following the right tracks and tumbling, you know, stampeding the rest of the crop. I can probably quite understand that. But
it's just finding the balance of, like, we get you intrigued in the crop circles. Bit of respect, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then I've seen people, like, where you can see a crop circle, and people just walk where you can see it from the hill, and they just look at it and just carry on like it's not an interest to them at all. And I can't get my head around that, because the visual of them are so stunning.
Yeah, I think
I would stop and look whether I knew what it was or not.
Boil it down, and I think this is something that Simon says quite a bit, is they are pieces of art, no matter how you look at it.
100%.
At the very bare bones, they are tremendous pieces of art that are designed to catch your eye. That's something there.
I mean, it's like you say, it's you know, writing it on, you know, designing it on paper is one thing.
Yeah.
Going out into a field at night, not be seen, 2 of you, 3 of you, how many it is, and to create a crop circle the size of maybe a football pitch or half the size of a football pitch, whatever, that to me deserves an award. You know, maybe we should hold an annual awards for the best crop design. I don't know, but
no one would come forward though, would they? Because they'd get arrested.
Well, this is, maybe they should have masks on or something. I don't know. I don't want to know. You know, I don't know. But so certainly you want to shake the person's the person's hand whoever's done it and say, wow, you know.
Speaking of awards, here's a tongue-in-cheek question. Kathy, how does it feel to be top of the Croppie?
Yay!
Round of applause, you got to get.
Let's move on quickly. Pick a random question out of our pile. How have crop circles been received by the public and scientific community? Kathy, go.
Oh, they haven't, and they have. By the spiritual community, they're very embraced. Scientifically, they're an annoyance, and they're man-made, and they're vandalism. For me, I'm still going to go on that there is a higher consciousness. You can call it alien. I call it kind of cosmological, universal, because I think it all comes from source, whatever it is, stream of consciousness, whatever. I really wish that they would, the paranormal, funny word to use, but the stuff that happens within them, I think really should be researched, thoroughly researched. But it's almost like it's fringe, isn't it? And it's like you know, I've been called a croppie, like the great unwashed, we're all mad, you know, which, okay, that has its place.
Well, it has its place in all areas of
In
society,
all areas,
I have to
exactly.
say that, you know. Even the most, you know, successful people in this world have an element of madness to them. I have an element of madness to me.
Yeah, we all do.
And Connor does.
Yeah, heaven forbid we're boring.
No, absolutely. And I suppose it comes back to that sort of that respect. And like you were saying, how probably the behaviour of people have changed over the years with regards to, you know, the croppie circles. And like you're saying, the gathering in there and people fighting with each other. No, this is real, this is not real. You know, why can't we just learn to respect people's views, you know, in general?
That's a big thing I think about a lot, is obviously, again, going back to social media, Kathy has said about how she's seen a fist fight in a crop circle. It's just moved to Facebook now. It's just people having their little arguments on Facebook. They're just not in the fields having a fist fight. They're just doing it over Facebook.
Yeah.
And what I don't understand, why they can't just be civil about it. Like, yes, you can. I respect that they have their beliefs and the other person has theirs, but why they feel the need to belittle people about it is beyond me.
No.
It's not right. It's not right. And it is, like you've been saying, it's a personal thing. You know, my experience, my perception of it's going to be different than yours, and that's how life is. Everything's a illusionary perception, isn't it? Well, in my view anyway, in the quantum world.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in, when I go on the ground in some of them, you get a real magnetic. I was with someone Eastfield on Golden Ball Hill filming, and I kind of got a sense that there was going to be a crop circle in this field. We were buggering about, and when you're sitting watching a field for hours and on, it really gets dull. So we started sort of messing around a bit and took our eye off the ball. Bit of a flash of light, didn't think anything of it, and then as the sun came up, there was crop circle in the field.
Yeah.
So we thought we would be the first in there, but there wasn't. And there was a man with a Geiger counter in there, and he said to me and my friend that I was with, he went, "Do not spend much time in here." And the Geiger counter was off the scale.
Kathy, what's a Geiger counter?
So it picks up electromagnetic frequency.
Okay.
And radiation.
And radiation.
That's what I know it for.
Right.
I didn't know about the electromagnetic stuff.
Wow. So it actually picks it up. So it was off the counter. So don't stay in there. And I suppose that's going back to, you know, like it was again. Lucy.
But it wasn't there the night before. We didn't see anyone. We only took our eye off the ball for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they happen when you're not watching. So you turn away and then it happens.
Yeah.
So for me, we didn't see anyone. So that for me was not a man-made one, because I was there in witness to it.
It would be amazing when it would be amazing to know what these signs or these shapes actually mean. What are the, you know, if it is created by the higher forces, shall we say, what are they trying to communicate to us, and how do we decipher that? I don't know. It's, you know, it's a weird thing. It's a hard thing.
Does anyone have that answer, Simon?
I don't know.
Does anyone?
I don't know. Do you?
Or maybe they're not even communicating with us at all.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Maybe we're not even part of their equation. It's just, I've always wondered if someone could do, I'm not very technical, but if someone could do a graph of all of the crop circles and overlay, just wondering what all of these combined geometric shapes would create in a 4-dimensional. See, I've blown my own head with that, because
listen, I'm delaying response because I'm just trying to compute it in my small brain. I tell you, it was I see what you're saying.
I think there is communication that we're only seeing it on a kind of 3-dimensional, 2-dimensional level.
Yeah.
But if we kind of maybe brought it all together, I wonder if there is a kind of, you know, like on Contact, where they had to get the cipher for the thing that was downloaded.
Yeah.
I just wonder if there might be a bit of that involved.
And I wonder what it would say.
Well, I guess for now,
humans, you're stupid.
Probably.
No.
For now, I feel it's for us to interpret.
Yeah.
You know. Like a lot of artwork, it's open. It will have its specific meaning that they will call them an artist, higher being, alien, whatever.
Whatever. Yeah.
They have their message they want to portray, of course, that's going to be there. But also, like all art, it is open to interpretation.
Absolutely.
Take away from it what you will.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So we are fast approaching the end. We've got about 10 more minutes left. So I have 3 questions for Kathy.
Is this a quick fire round?
No, this is this is Wait, where do you go for? No, this is take as long as you would like, because my first question is there anything that you want to discuss that we haven't touched on yet? Like, was there anything before we started this call that you thought, okay, well, I'm going to go on there and I want to talk about this, but we haven't been able to yet? Is there anything like that?
I think for me, I would like to get out to people that, whatever your belief, it's probably an illusion anyway. Does it make sense? So, you know, man-made, I want to take out I think we're moving energetically, vibrationally away from the man-made and alien-made, whatever, and maybe start to look at it as the paranormal that happens within it, even the man-made ones, because the synchronicity for me, since people that go into crop circles will infinitely end up having synchronistic events happen in their life. People say it over and over again. So are these communications bringing us into a more synergistic approach to our own life? So, you know, everything's about division, isn't it, at the moment? You know, the governments, all of that, they want us all separated and arguing with each other. So if we do that, we're missing a bigger picture. And that's what I think maybe we need to look at it as a bit more holistically and a bit more whole, rather than this separation of things. Yeah,
it comes back to the whole community side of it again. The community side of it has been lost. It's, you know, a house with 3 walls can't stand sort of thing. Like,
that's right.
You need to be united in it, and just sort of, I mean, I'm going to sound like a hippie. Peace and love is literally the message to be portrayed here. Like, there's no point in fighting each other. You're all, well, we are now, because we're doing the podcast, we're all in the same page of being interested in crop circles.
Yeah,
there's no need to fight each other whilst we are in this boat.
That's right.
And my second question, so where can like-minded people such as yourself, Kathy, go to find out more about yourself? I mean, I know the answer to this. You've given me the answer over email, but I'd like to hear it from you. Where can people find out more about you, and what can they expect to find there?
So in my normal job, I really don't have a normal job, but within the normality of what we're talking about. So I've got a website, which is www.kathymingo.com, and my Facebook, which I've completely forgotten, sorry, and my Instagram is Kathy_Mingo_aura, which I do a lot of crop circling when it's crop circle time. So I use my Instagram more for showing design, and I do lives in it so people can see it on the ground.
Yeah, perfect. Don't worry, I'll be sure to include all the
I forgot my Facebook one. I'm a bit of a Luddite technology wise.
But it's not just crop circles. I mean, like, so people, going back to the very beginning, the intro, people that are interested in your healing. I had a quick look yesterday, and you said about how, you know, you're going live and doing readings and such on Facebook. You know, people they're interested in that. Is that all available in the same place, or is there specific things for that?
Yeah, that's on my Facebook. So I do a Facebook live pretty much every 2 weeks. And what I'm trying to do is I'm part of what is called People's Health Alliance as well. So we're trying to make community in our local community in a more holistic approach. So bringing in reflexologists and all for people that have been let down a little bit medically over pandemic. I won't say a certain word, but it begins with a V and ends in an E. All of that type of thing as well. And it's not a good or a bad, I'm not saying, but it's just about bringing community together. So I highlight people in my community. So healers, Reiki healers. This Thursday, I've got, there's a woman that makes patches. This is going to sound mad. She makes patches and she uses platinum gold. So she's using alchemy.
Okay.
Now I have an aura camera which shows the bioplasmic, your auric field live. So I'm going to be showing that live, and we're going to test the patches. So it's kind of scientific, but the scientific community would not say it is. But we're trying to show how things like crystals, healing. I'm a shaman. I do healing. I'm a medium. How that all, it does change the vibration and frequency. So that I kind of do that, and I also do a live channel.
Brilliant.
Amazing, yeah, cool.
Brilliant.
And my third and final question is, would you come back on the podcast and talk to us again?
Oh, if I'm invited, hell yes.
Yeah, it's always a dodgy question, isn't it? In case they go no.
No.
Actually, no, it was.
Someone turned around and said, "Do you know what, mate? No, I wouldn't."
I'll tell you what we would do. We would edit. Love it.
Yeah, because this is my favourite topic, and and I know I do other things vibrationally and channel, but Croppie, I'm a Croppie, heart through and through.
Brilliant.
Amazing.
Brilliant.
Well, all that's left to say is thank you very much, Kathy. You've been an absolute pleasure to have on. And yes, I think we most definitely will invite you on again in the future.
It's been fascinating
Lovely.
talking with you. Thank
you. Lots of love.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Croppie Coffee. I hope you enjoyed our exploration into the mysterious world of crop circles. I have to say, this has been an enlightening experience for me, and I hope it was for you too. I'm still not entirely sure what to make of it all, but one thing is for certain. There's something peculiar about those circles in the fields. As always, I want to remind you that the views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely mine, my co-hosts and my guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of the scientific community. Also, I want to give a special shout out to today's guest. They were a real pleasure to have on the show, and I couldn't have done it without them. And of course, a big thank you to Rick for keeping us caffeinated throughout the recording. Well, that's it from us, folks. Join us next time on Croppie Coffee as we continue to explore the unexplained and unearth the truth behind some of the world's most mysterious phenomena, crop circles. In the meantime, don't forget to question everything and always keep an open mind. Thank you for listening.